we're all making, like if you look at the Matrix, it was this coming together of all of these people that all had such big heart and expertise and passion and drive to create this product.
Unbelievable.
And I love being a part of that. I'm a team player.
Yeah.
I love to be on a team. I'm not alone. I don't want to do
wolf.
it on my own. I love collaborating. It turns me on to collaborate with people. Like I need that. I'm not an island unto myself. I need that interaction with other people. So as an actress, I think, and then, then some basic things like as an actress, often you're unemployed. So I remember feeling like if I needed to know that I was enough, regardless of whether I had a job or not. So I worked hard at that.
Yeah.
That was an ongoing.
Because it might be a year or two we don't have something, right?
Can be. I mean, if you were to look at, I have every journal I've ever written in since I was 10 years old. I have journals and journals and journals from that apartment on Melrose and Suites are saying, I am enough.
Wow.
I am enough. I am enough. I deserve success. I worked through all of that really vigorously. I would wake up in the morning and do my morning pages from The Artist Way, Julia Cameron's Artist Way, and I would write and get it out, and I would apply that and go into an audition. And my mom was just saying the other day, I saw her and my brother in London, and she was saying how what she was so impressed with when I was younger and auditioning a lot was that I was able to do it and let it go and move on. And I remember
with an audition.
Yeah, like not carrying on to it.
I got to get this role.
I always applied to auditions that if it was meant for me, then I would get it. That if I did the work, if I did the preparation, that if it was meant for me. Not like I got to get it. I never had that attitude. It was if it was meant for me and if it was part of my journey. And if someone else got it, it was part of their journey.
Yeah.
And I trusted that completely and totally.
It's a great way of looking at it. Because I think so many people, whether it be acting or anything, like they go after something, a pitch in business, they want to get the gig, they want to get the client, but it may not be the right client. Just like it's not the right job as an actor. And it may actually take away from your life if you get that client or the acting gig, right? It may.
Totally.
Or you make that sports team or whatever it is.
Absolutely. You have to trust it. How many times did I almost get a job and feel like I wanted it and it not happen, and
down to you in the last two, right?
Something so much better happened. Right. Matrix included.
Really?
I would have, if I'd gotten other things that
I
thought,
gigs.
no, just things before that seemed great. I couldn't have imagined the Matrix being in my, I couldn't have seen that, but it was the right time. It was meant to be in that way. And it doesn't mean that you don't show up and do the work.
Of course.
There's work to be done. Success is when opportunity meets preparation. That was one of my founding thing as an actress. My acting teacher drilled that into us. You don't just show up and think it's just you have to be prepared. You got to do your work. You got to do your homework. You've got to be growing and looking at yourself.
Yeah.
But I want to also do all of that and have a good life.
Yeah.
And not be living in insecurity and panic over all of the things I can't control. So I've worked hard at that.
Yeah.
And now I look back and I don't even necessarily know, but I spent years doing that. Mm-hmm. And now I'm reaping.
Not being aware of it, but you were. Yeah,
no, I was aware. I was
sure.
I was in it, but now I don't even remember who that was that ever felt that way. Who felt. I feel different things now, but
right.
And sometimes they'll come up and I'll go, oh yeah, I remember that. But really, I think awareness and consciousness and having that awakening, you almost don't recognize yourself. You become new, and you can become new in a moment by changing the way you think. So I'm doing that dance all day long, and I love it. I love life in that way.
Yeah. When you look yourself in the mirror, how often do you look in the mirror?
Not a lot.
Not a lot? Mm-hmm. When you look yourself in the mirror, what do you see?
Sometimes that I'm very tired. I really don't. I'm not a big mirror person. In fact, when I did the Matrix, I had them take all the mirrors out of the hotel room. There was just mirrors everywhere.
Really? You had them take them out?
Yeah, it wasn't really a huge deal.
Sure.
But it was too much. And I said, this is kind of driving me crazy. I have to live here in this a hotel room for a year
Where was it filmed?
in Sydney. And,
Really?
Yeah. And I think I covered a few with like cloths and stuff like that. I'm honestly, I would love, part of what I love about my life, I guess, is that I don't have to think about that too much except when I'm working. And I really, even when I'm working, I have a friend who's a producer. I worked with her a few years ago and she was like, you really need to check your hair before you know. I was like, I don't want to.
Who cares, right?
Be
authentic.
I do care because
Right,
if it's on a show or something, but like there's people that are hired to do that.
They're doing it for you.
I have to trust they're doing their job because I don't want to care. I don't want to think about it. I mean, I
put
never
that much energy into the way you look.
I just can't. I want to look healthy and I want my skin to look good. I want my eyes to be vibrant. I want to feel beautiful from the inside out.
But to fixate on it.
I can't.
Yeah.
I always, even when I was younger and auditioning all the time, I'd always just pull my hair back and I wouldn't wear any makeup. And that was always where I felt
natural beauty. I love it.
Thanks.
That's where it's at.
That's what I felt most beautiful.
Yeah,
was in that place. And my brother,
I think all women are the most beautiful when they have that natural.
My brother used to say it to me when I was really young. He'd always say, "Don't wear makeup."
It's the best. It's the best. Yeah. So a year. So the filming took a year, right? It took a year, and it was in Sydney the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
The first one.
The first one. What was that like when you were in the middle of it? Did you feel like you were onto something? You guys were like you're part of something bigger than yourselves, like different than other gigs you'd done?
Oh, it was.
You're like, this is actually going to impact people, or were you like, who knows still?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Really?
No, I just knew it was an amazing. I knew that I was having a personal exploration.
Sure.
You know, facing a lot of fears and dealing with a lot of expansiveness within myself.
You had to grow a lot.
Yes, and I knew that was happening.
What was the biggest lesson you learned during that year?
Oh, what didn't I learn?
Right.
What didn't I learn? I couldn't put it into one.
Did you feel like you were worthy of that role and that? I guess you didn't really know how big it was going to be, but if you knew like this is going to be the biggest movie of the decade or whatever it is, that everyone's going to see this, did you feel like you were ready for it, or you were worthy of it, or you were enough for that? And I don't know if Keanu was as big then as
he was. He was pretty huge.
Big.
Yeah. You know, we all were very close, and so we spent a lot of time together. So I really,
you three are kind of like the whole
all
cast,
of us. Yeah, the three of us, and then Hugo Weaving and the directors and
spent a lot of
the
time
DP.
together.
Yeah, we did.
Going over the vision, going over.
No, having dinner.
Oh yeah.
Talking, having conversations, training. I mean, we trained for 4 months here in LA before we went. So I really, I had this team of the martial art team that taught us, who didn't speak any English, but who were.
But they were like masters, right?
They were masters, and they were supporting us completely.
Wow. Was that a couple hours a day of training?
It was all day, every day,
martial
Monday
arts
through
training?
Friday. Yeah, it was like the first hour was stretching, and then the second hour
Just
was
stretching.
kicking, and then learning your fight, and then I'd work out with my Pilates trainer, and then I'd do my cardio,
Wow.
and I was there. We were there from like 9 to 3 or 4 every day. It was fun. I loved
amazing.
it. It was great.
It's like being a pro athlete, just training all day.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really do.
Getting
I loved
paid
that.
to do it.
I love that. I love training
Yeah.
for a job. It's fun.
Wow.
It's something that it's different now, but I look back at that as just really enjoying that time in my life to have all that time to train.
That's amazing.
So we got to really know each
you didn't
other.
have kids then either, right?
I didn't. I wasn't married. Didn't know my husband even.
You're a full
I was turning.
dedicated to
I think I turned 30 on the day I screen tested. I had like quite a lengthy screen testing process, but like on one of the main days I turned 30, and we wrapped it on my 31st birthday, the first
Wow.
Matrix. So it was that entry
my
into
gosh.
30.
Wow,
And I did
that's
feel
cool.
that I felt a freedom in turning 30. And I remember,
Yeah.
I laugh now because 30 seems so young, but I remember feeling like the whole world opened up to me literally on my 30th birthday. And,
I felt that way too when I had 30, yeah.
yeah, I
That's
really felt
interesting.
that awakening, that opening of possibility.
How long did it take when you first heard about the role or the casting happened for this? How long did it take from the first time you heard about it till you actually got the gig?
A few weeks,
Not that long, huh?
Well, it was, I think I auditioned for it,
Mm-hmm.
and the casting director said, "I think I'm going to bring you back." And I thought, really? Okay. Like I just didn't in a million years think it's hard to get in there. So then I had,
Isn't it funny that the casting director pretty much has all the power, right? Is it that person's vision, or was the director there also?
her name's Mally Finn. She's no longer alive, and she was a really amazing casting director, and she had a vision, and she knew them and knew what they wanted.
Gotcha.
So she brought, she's bringing me to them and bringing all the other women that wanted it too.
Gotcha.
And so I met with them, with the directors, and auditioned for them, and then you wait.
That's the worst, right?
It was okay. I didn't, every part of it, I felt so grateful that I got to do it another day. I remember my agent at the time saying that I may screen test, and I screamed. And he said, well, don't get too excited. And I said, oh no, I'm going to get really excited. And I remember in that moment thinking, he won't be my agent much longer.
Wow.
Because I didn't like that. Don't get too excited. I was like, and he was a great guy and all of that. But I remember in the moment thinking, if I don't celebrate this, what the heck am I going to celebrate? Whether or not I get this or not. This is the closest. This is like the biggest audition I've ever had in my life, that I'm actually possibly screen testing for a Warner Brothers movie.
Yeah.
And I really didn't think I would get it, but I trusted that if it was meant to be, that I would get it. And that's what then when I finished the screen testing process, which was many days, I had to do a fighting audition.
And you weren't trained at this time,
no,
like martial arts. You just had to fake it. You're like,
well, I'd done Billy Blank's aerobics classes.
So you had like some kickboxing.
Well, and the director said that what they loved about my audition video of my fighting was that there'd be like these cuts, and every time that they would come back, that the martial artist team that I was fighting were patting themselves up because I was actually making contact.
Oh man, that's funny.
And that, I didn't know not to make contact, but the fact that I wasn't afraid to make contact was something that they noticed. And so when that whole process was done of auditioning, because then I had to audition with Keanu and I had to do a screen test and all that.
Then he was already chosen.
Yeah, and then I had to wait. Then I waited. They had like a week to tell me, and on the Friday that they were going to tell me, they asked for another week. And from what I understood, nobody wanted me except the directors.
Really?
No. And I just went about my life. And by the time I got the phone call the following Friday, I pretty much thought it probably wasn't going to happen. And my team told me that I got that.
Wow.
I can almost remember it like it was yesterday. I think I like fell to my knees and cried and got instantly sick. I instantly got sick, like got a sore throat.
Nauseous,
I think I was holding so much that I didn't even know I was holding.
Wow.
And, called my mom, called my best friends, and just was in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's exciting.
That's incredible. It's interesting. A few things that I'm picking up as you said these things is that your agent told you, or your manager told you not to get excited. And when are we supposed to get excited? When the thing happens, when we achieve the dream. So are we not supposed to get excited along the journey, along the ups and downs, right? So
you have to.
It's like we got to, I love this book. I was just talking about this the other day, The Alchemist. I don't know if you've read it.
Yes.
But it's all about the journey. It's very simple that we forget sometimes. And sometimes I get so focused on like the launch of my book or whatever, the product or the launch of their movie. But the day and day like work is what we should be celebrating, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm really.
Like the little things each day.
Absolutely. Your life. The way you live your life. It's.
That we're alive today.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. And I think one of the things I've been thinking a lot about, I create this content for what I'm teaching here online with the Fierce Grace Collective is I teach these different ideas. And I sort of thought about this summer, and I thought, okay, I've got next month's done, and maybe I'll do the next couple months. Like I'll just really get in there.
Yeah.
But then I thought, no, I'm living my life and sharing the process. And so I actually can't apply that model of business to what I'm doing because it would put me into here. And what I'm really trying to share is simple ways to live your life from the inside out. And so I'm doing that in order to create it. So sometimes it's hard because I have to look at my vacation schedule and my children are going to this and doing that and all of that. But I was thinking about this today about some of the women that are part of the collective that I have. And, we have like a comment section, and how sometimes that can be so distracting, and how I think that I want to take the tools that I'm sharing and that I'm living and put them into my life, not stay in my head with them.
Yeah.
Like, go out and live them.
Yeah.
And be
apply it,
living it, and be an example of that, not just the idea of that. I remember always thinking like people would be teaching something, but they wouldn't necessarily, you knew they weren't living their life that way. And it never really, never liked that if I ever caught a glimpse of that. And yet somebody told me once that you don't have to be great at something to actually teach it. Some of the best acting teachers might not be the best actors. Some of the best relationship therapists might not be able to actually have great relationships. Yeah. I mean, but for me, I'm not doing this to be like an idea of somebody. I really want to like reach my hand out and give women who may never have access to this kind of information because of where they live or their family structure, these simple tools to elevate their lives.
Yeah.
Because I'm so darn grateful that I was led to come to this city, and that because of how difficult what I do for work is, that I had to dig so deep to have a rich, beautiful life, because the alternative was not acceptable to me.
Yeah.
The alternative of being competitive in the face of envy or all that kind of thinking, or not feeling good about myself, or beating myself up, or being full of anxiety and stress and all that stuff, that's not an option for me. So I'm so incredibly grateful. And so I'm really passing it forward and wanting to give that. So
what's the program again? Where can people get it?
Well, it's called Fierce Grace Collective, is one of the things I offer. It's Annapurna Living has is my website, and has lots of just storytelling. I like to tell stories, and I have other people that also write for it too, that are sharing stories just about living your life from the inside out, and living in a simple way that feels nourishing to yourself. And I think one of the big things, the myth busters, and we all know this, but it's like important to remember that nobody else has got it figured out. Nobody else has got a better life. Right. Nobody else is, just because they might have the nice house and the nice car and the perfect family. And don't judge your insides by other people's outsides. It's what I've lived by my whole life. I remember being a kid, we lived in an apartment in a co-op in Granville Island, my mom and I went to a school where everyone was very wealthy, and I commuted there for the drama and the music. And I never felt like ashamed of like where I came from. Like, I always felt super proud of my apartment, and my friends lived in beautiful mansions. And, I remember that, but I never felt less than because of that. And so much of the world is built to make you feel less than if you don't have the things that you can buy, which is all, as we know, manipulating us through media to buy and want to be into that system that we all don't want to do anymore. And I don't want my kids to do it, and I don't want my kids to feel like they have to do it. And it's like waking up to your life, waking up to the truth of the life you have right in front of you, and how can you connect better to it and deeper to it, and in a way that is nourishing and isn't waiting until the new job, the guy, the kids, because you're going to get those things and still feel the same ache.
Yeah.
If you want more greatness in your life, then you got to check out this video right here.
Everyone has got three things wrong. The number one is I'm not enough. The second one is I'm different, so I can't connect. And the third is I really want something like freedom from depression or success, but it's not available. But I'm not enough is the biggest